In life, betrayal is a storm we don't see coming. It's a shattering of trust, a fracture in what we believed was solid. Yet the Stoics understood that moments like these hold powerful lessons. Today we'll dive into how Stoic philosophy teaches us to handle betrayal with resilience, grace, and wisdom. Imagine rising above pain, choosing self-control over chaos, and finding peace in places where only turmoil once lived. In this video, we'll uncover the Stoic path to mastering your emotions, embracing detachment, and building unshakable inner strength, even in the face of betrayal. Every step we'll cover is a lesson in reclaiming control, tapping into your Stoic mind, and letting go of the need for revenge. So if you're ready to see how betrayal can be transformed into wisdom, you're in the right place. Hit like and subscribe to join Stoic Narratives Official, where we transform life's hardest moments into sources of strength and resilience.
Lesson 1. Self-discovery through betrayal. Betrayal hits hard, often striking at the core of who we are. The Stoics, however, believe that every wound, every emotional scar is a chance to understand ourselves more deeply. When trust is broken, the Stoic philosophy doesn't advise pushing emotions away. Instead, it calls for introspection, to turn our gaze inward and ask, what has this betrayal revealed about my attachments, my expectations, and my sense of self? This process of self-discovery is fundamental to emotional resilience. Betrayal exposes areas of vulnerability, often the places where we may have placed too much of our peace in others. The Stoic mind reminds us that inner strength isn't found in external relationships or how others treat us. It's cultivated through our own control over thoughts, emotions, and responses. Epictetus, a renowned Stoic philosopher, taught that our true freedom lies in understanding what we control and what we don't. When betrayal shakes us, it's an opportunity to reassess our boundaries, to see where we may have been seeking validation outside ourselves. Imagine you're standing in the middle of a vast storm, the betrayal swirling around you. You feel the sting, the ache, yet instead of reaching outward for answers or for someone to blame, you turn inward. This shift is where true growth lies. The Stoics would say, this is the place where self-discovery begins. In these moments, you begin to see what truly matters, to identify the values you hold within yourself, and in turn, what cannot be taken away by another's actions. This is the heart of Stoic resilience. Take the story of someone like Marcus Aurelius, betrayed by those he trusted within his own circle. Instead of letting anger consume him, he used that betrayal to re-examine his own values, his purpose, and ultimately strengthened his role as a leader. Through this, he discovered that true power comes from self-governance, from staying aligned with one's own integrity rather than bending to the actions of others. Practically, adopting a Stoic approach to betrayal means observing our responses without judgment. Recognize feelings of anger, hurt, and disappointment as natural, yet temporary. Stoicism advises that we neither fight nor indulge these emotions. Instead, we learn from them. This approach to betrayal, anchored in Stoic philosophy, becomes less about the pain inflicted and more about the personal growth gained. By stepping back, you allow yourself the space to transform betrayal into something constructive. You release any attachment to the actions of others, focusing instead on the strength that comes from understanding yourself. Each layer of pain, when viewed through a Stoic lens, becomes a stepping stone to deeper self-knowledge. So next time betrayal strikes, consider it an opportunity. In every hurtful act, there's a lesson about who you are and what you value. Betrayal may fracture trust, but it's also a gateway to a wiser self. Lesson 2. Emotional alchemy. Transform pain into strength. When betrayal strikes, our emotions surge. Anger, disappointment, confusion. Stoicism doesn't deny these feelings, it encourages us to observe them and then channel them. This practice, known as emotional alchemy, transforms intense emotions into a source of strength and clarity. In Stoic philosophy, emotions like anger are seen as signals, reminders of what we value and where our boundaries may lie. Yet, instead of letting anger take control, the Stoic path asks us to direct that energy inward, into building resilience and self-awareness. Epictetus, who endured lifelong hardship, taught that by observing our emotions, we find the power to guide them. Instead of reacting impulsively, we choose responses that align with our values and inner peace. Imagine this. Someone you trusted betrays you, and the anger hits like a wave. You feel it building, the urge to react, to speak words you may later regret. But here's where Stoic wisdom changes everything. You step back, you take that raw energy and see it for what it is, a natural response, but one that can be shaped. Instead of fueling anger or resentment, you channel it into constructive action, like refocusing on personal goals, developing your skills, or pursuing activities that bring you peace and fulfillment. This approach doesn't diminish the pain of betrayal, but it turns it into something useful, something empowering. Take Marcus Aurelius, for instance. In his meditations, he often reminded himself that every action should serve a purpose. When faced with betrayal, he didn't let himself get consumed by rage or thoughts of revenge. Instead, he focused on the empire he was leading, on fulfilling his duties with integrity and wisdom. Marcus turned the energy from betrayal into a renewed commitment to his purpose and values, setting an example of emotional resilience. This emotional alchemy is a form of inner strength unique to Stoicism. It's a reminder that while we can't change the actions of others, we can always choose our response. Turning pain into purpose may take time, but each time you practice, you're building emotional muscle. You're not suppressing anger or pretending it doesn't exist. Instead, you're guiding it, ensuring it becomes part of your journey rather than a roadblock. In practice, this lesson encourages small steps. When you feel anger rise, pause and breathe. Ask yourself, how can I use this to strengthen my inner world? Then, direct that energy towards something you control, whether it's cultivating a new skill, diving into a passion, or dedicating yourself to your values. This shift transforms pain into personal growth and empowerment. By seeing betrayal through this Stoic lens, you begin to reshape your relationship with pain. Instead of a source of suffering, it becomes an opportunity. Lesson 3. The power of silence and delayed reaction. Betrayal stirs up a whirlwind of emotions, often pushing us toward an immediate reaction. But here lies one of Stoicism's most powerful insights, the value of silence. In moments of betrayal, silence becomes our shield. It's a pause that allows us to reclaim control over our mind and emotions, transforming what could be a moment of impulsive reaction into one of inner strength. The Stoics believed that true power lies in choosing when and how to respond. When you face betrayal, the urge to lash out or confront can feel overwhelming. Yet Stoicism teaches us that silence offers a chance to gain perspective. In silence, you gain the space to assess the situation, see things as they are, and most importantly, decide on a response rooted in wisdom rather than emotion. Think of it as pressing pause, giving yourself the freedom to process rather than being pulled by the immediate waves of anger or pain. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, who faced betrayal from within his trusted circle. As the ruler of a vast empire, he had the power to punish swiftly. Yet instead of reacting in haste, he often practiced restraint, choosing instead to reflect before responding. His silence, far from weakness, became his strength. This pause allowed him to respond thoughtfully, not as a victim of his emotions, but as a leader, guided by wisdom. This practice of delayed reaction doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing emotions. On the contrary, it means acknowledging the pain, disappointment, and anger. Silence creates a space where we can observe these emotions without judgment. In that pause, we remind ourselves of our inner power, the power to choose how we respond, rather than letting betrayal dictate our actions. Practically, how can you apply this? When betrayal strikes, start with a deep breath. Hold back from immediate reaction. Instead, sit with your emotions. Listen to them, but don't act on them just yet. This deliberate pause gives you time to align your response with your values and goals. Over time, practicing silence in challenging moments builds a foundation of inner strength and resilience that even betrayal cannot shake. Another benefit of this silence is the message it sends, not just to others, but to yourself. It's a reminder that your peace is not up for grabs, that you won't allow someone else's actions to dictate your state of mind. Through silence, you set boundaries, defining your peace as your own, and signaling that, while others may disrupt, they do not control your inner world. In silence, you find your strength, your stability. It's a practice the Stoics championed, one that enables you to face betrayal with dignity, clarity, and resilience. This silence, this pause, is where Stoic resilience grows, a powerful tool that protects your peace and keeps you aligned with the best version of yourself. Lesson 4. Boundary setting as a form of self-respect. Betrayal often leaves us questioning our own boundaries and sense of self-worth. Stoicism, however, teaches that boundaries are not just about keeping others out, but about protecting what is within, our peace, values, and integrity. In facing betrayal, boundary setting becomes essential to cultivating resilience and self-respect. When someone we trust crosses a line, it's easy to feel resentment or anger. Yet, the Stoic perspective offers a different path. See betrayal as a signal that boundaries need reinforcement, not as a call to anger. It's an invitation to establish and uphold a space where we define what is acceptable in our lives. This shift in thinking allows us to transform the pain of betrayal into a commitment to ourselves, one that affirms our inner worth. For the Stoics, self-respect is rooted in the principle of control. We cannot control how others act, but we can control our response. Setting boundaries is an active choice to protect our inner peace, choosing not to let betrayal disrupt our sense of self. This is not a passive or defensive act. It is a powerful affirmation that we are worthy of respect, beginning with ourselves. Imagine someone close to you betrays your trust. The first reaction may be to confront, question, or even lash out. But here, Stoic wisdom suggests a different approach. Instead of seeking validation or an apology, take this as an opportunity to look inward and strengthen your boundaries. Acknowledge what was crossed and consider how you can reinforce that line in future interactions. This isn't about building walls. It's about understanding what you will and won't tolerate, a fundamental aspect of self-respect. Marcus Aurelius himself reflected on setting internal boundaries. He understood that while we can't change others, we must maintain our own standards and protect our peace. This inner boundary prevents us from letting the actions of others compromise who we are. By focusing on this, we find that our self-worth is not shaken by betrayal, but is instead reaffirmed through our commitment to live by our values. Practically, setting boundaries after betrayal involves clarity and intention. Begin by identifying what needs protecting: your time, emotional energy, or self-respect. Then, decide how you'll communicate and uphold these limits. When someone disrespects you, rather than reacting with anger, consider responding calmly but firmly, affirming your limits without explaining or defending yourself unnecessarily. This builds inner strength and teaches others to recognize and respect your boundaries. This approach to boundaries is a form of self-compassion in Stoicism. It's a reminder that we deserve the same respect we offer others, and that our inner peace is worth safeguarding. With each boundary set, you solidify your sense of self, building a foundation of resilience that betrayal cannot shake. Lesson 5. Stoic self-compassion for lasting healing. Betrayal can create a surge of self-doubt. Questions arise. Was I too trusting? Did I make a mistake in judgment? But Stoic philosophy offers a different perspective. Instead of allowing betrayal to foster self-blame or regret, Stoicism teaches us the value of self-compassion. This is not about avoiding accountability, but recognizing that mistakes and vulnerability are natural parts of the human experience. Self-compassion in Stoicism means treating yourself with the same respect you'd offer a friend. When betrayed, it's common to critique our own choices harshly, feeling as though we should have known better. But here, Stoicism suggests that self-blame only deepens emotional wounds. Instead, accept that you were acting in line with your values and intentions at the time. This acceptance is the foundation of self-forgiveness, an essential part of healing. Epictetus, who faced incredible hardship as a slave, often reminded himself of his own humanity. He taught that judging oneself too harshly serves no purpose in growth. Rather, embracing our own imperfections with understanding opens the door to resilience. In the face of betrayal, this Stoic approach helps us move past the sting of self-criticism and focus instead on inner peace and growth. Think of it this way. Betrayal may expose vulnerabilities, but those vulnerabilities are part of what makes us human. Practicing self-compassion helps us to acknowledge these aspects without letting them define us. Instead of seeing betrayal as a failure, see it as a reminder of your own capacity for trust and empathy. Self-compassion doesn't mean ignoring the pain. It means giving yourself the space to process it without judgment. Practically, this could look like simple acts of self-care. After betrayal, set aside time for yourself, whether through reflection, meditation, or a practice that brings comfort. Use this time to center yourself, to focus on healing without rushing the process. Remind yourself that your trust, even if misplaced, was given with good intentions. This step is crucial because it allows you to emerge stronger, with clarity about your values and a renewed sense of self-worth. For the Stoics, self-compassion is not indulgence. It's a way to preserve inner peace and maintain resilience in the face of life's challenges. By being kind to ourselves, we create a stable foundation from which we can approach future relationships with a clear mind and open heart. Betrayal may challenge our sense of self, but it doesn't need to shatter it. In fact, with self-compassion, each challenge strengthens our core, making us more resilient and grounded. In moments of betrayal, remember to treat yourself with the respect and forgiveness that you offer others. It's in these moments that self-compassion becomes a powerful act of self-preservation and growth. Lesson 6. Reframe betrayal as a push toward purpose. Betrayal often forces us to confront what truly matters. In Stoic philosophy, hardship, including betrayal, is seen as an opportunity to reassess our direction and strengthen our commitment to live in harmony with our deepest values. Rather than allowing betrayal to lead us toward bitterness, Stoicism teaches us to use it as motivation to pursue what truly matters. When betrayal strikes, it's easy to get lost in emotional pain, feeling hurt and disoriented. But the Stoics remind us that adversity holds value, acting as a catalyst to renew our focus and deepen our dedication to our goals. Imagine betrayal not as a setback, but as a signal, guiding us toward a more meaningful path. This reframing shifts betrayal from a source of suffering to a stepping stone that can lead us to live more intentionally. Consider Epictetus, born into slavery and facing immense hardship. Instead of letting bitterness consume him, he turned to wisdom and resilience. For Epictetus, hardship wasn't a reason to give up, but an invitation to seek a higher purpose, rooted in inner strength and moral clarity. His life and teachings inspire us to see betrayal not as the end of trust, but as a call to trust ourselves more deeply and to pursue goals aligned with our values. So, how can you reframe betrayal as a push toward purpose? Start by asking yourself what this experience has revealed about what truly matters. Reflect on areas where you may have invested time or trust that didn't align with your core values. Betrayal is painful, but it's also clarifying. It shines a light on the areas where we may have strayed from our purpose or made compromises that don't serve us. Use this clarity to set new intentions that better reflect who you are and what you want. Then, translate this clarity into action. For instance, if betrayal has highlighted the importance of personal growth, commit to learning something that builds inner resilience. If it's underscored the need for genuine relationships, focus on connections that offer mutual respect and understanding. In this way, the pain of betrayal fuels a renewed sense of purpose, redirecting energy from resentment to constructive pursuits. By reframing betrayal through a Stoic lens, we transform it from a moment of loss into an opportunity for empowerment. This perspective doesn't deny the pain, it acknowledges it and uses it as a force for positive change. Each setback teaches us to stand stronger and move forward with clarity. When we let betrayal refocus us on what truly matters, it no longer remains a source of suffering, but becomes a guiding force, leading us closer to a life of integrity, strength, and peace. Embracing this Stoic perspective on betrayal helps us navigate even the hardest trials with purpose, resilience, and inner peace. Lesson 7. Betrayal as a reality check, not a personal attack. When faced with betrayal, it's natural to feel that we've been wronged, even personally attacked. Stoicism, however, invites us to view betrayal through a different lens, as a reality check about human nature rather than a personal affront. This perspective shift allows us to respond with greater emotional control, preserving our peace and clarity. Stoicism teaches that human behavior is often driven by personal interests, flaws, and impulses beyond our control. Betrayal, when viewed from this Stoic angle, becomes less about us and more about the reality of human imperfection. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that people act according to their nature and circumstances, not necessarily as a direct attack on us. By understanding this, we lessen the sting of betrayal, reframing it as a reminder that others' actions are a reflection of their character, not ours. Imagine a close friend betrays your trust, spreading private information. Initially, anger and disappointment are natural responses. But here, Stoic wisdom offers us a choice. Dwell on feelings of personal offense, or detach and see the act as a reflection of that person's own limitations. This shift doesn't excuse their actions, but frees you from feeling personally targeted. It reminds us that our peace is too valuable to be shaken by another's betrayal. Consider the story of Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, who faced false accusations and the betrayal of colleagues. Instead of letting bitterness cloud his mind, he used these incidents to reaffirm his Stoic principles. He accepted that people could be dishonest or unreliable, and in doing so, he was able to respond with calm resilience. This detachment empowered him to preserve his integrity, focusing on his own actions rather than becoming consumed by others' misdeeds. In practice, how can we adopt this Stoic mindset when betrayed? Start by acknowledging your feelings, but avoid labeling the act as a personal attack. Instead, remind yourself that betrayal often reflects the limitations or insecurities of the other person. When you internalize this, you reclaim your power over your emotional responses, refusing to allow someone's actions to disrupt your inner peace. This perspective shift also prevents us from adopting a victim mentality. By seeing betrayal as a reality of human nature, we protect ourselves from the bitterness that can accompany feelings of personal attack. This mindset builds resilience, allowing us to navigate relationships with wisdom and healthy detachment. Ultimately, betrayal becomes less about loss and more about clarity. It illuminates the boundaries between our values and others' actions, teaching us to protect our peace and maintain perspective. This detachment, guided by Stoic wisdom, empowers us to let go, accept that human behavior is unpredictable, and focus on what we can control, our own responses. In conclusion, betrayal is painful, but with Stoic wisdom, it becomes a path to inner peace and resilience. Remember, focus on what you control, detach from outcomes, and see adversity as an opportunity for growth. Choose virtue over vengeance, set clear boundaries, and cultivate self-compassion. Accept that life is unpredictable, and use each betrayal to realign with your purpose. Stoicism teaches us that betrayal doesn't have to define or diminish us. Instead, it can guide us toward a stronger, more peaceful self. So, as you face life's betrayals, embrace these lessons. They're powerful tools to turn pain into strength, loss into wisdom, and turmoil into clarity. If you found these insights valuable, hit like and subscribe to join Stoic Narratives Official, where we dive into timeless Stoic teachings to strengthen the mind and uplift the spirit. Let's continue growing together, guided by the wisdom of Stoicism.